All right, my name is Giovanni Marsico. Welcome to Unleash Your Inner Hero. Can't wait to get started with all of you today for the next 90 minutes. Here's my promise to you. We're going to have a blast having conversations with what people I call millionaires. Now, my definition of this word is someone who's impacting millions of people. And I feel very blessed and lucky that I get to surround myself with these awesome humans in my life, and I want to share them with all of you. And the first one, we're going to jump right in. His name is Nick Nanton. He is the director of our Hero film and also our Dreamer film, my partner on these projects. Nick, welcome to the party.
Glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me. Happy Saturday, everybody.
Yeah, welcome. So first, for some context, how many films have you made?
I need to count. I'm over 70 at this point.
Oh my God. And, I talk about living in a dream. I'm actually holding these 2 Emmys that I won for our Dreamer film, which I think is awesome. How many of these have you won?
22 at this point, but I don't like to be objectified as just a number, Gio.
You're the best. Okay, so now that we've been through this Hero project, and the feedback has been coming in, and it's been amazing. What's been most impactful in terms of telling these stories for you?
Someone said my mic was soft. I'm trying to turn it up a little bit. We'll see if that works. Let me know if it's still soft, Gio. But look, what's most impactful for me is meeting incredible people that every day show me that more than I thought was possible. So funny story. I was a very competitive tennis player as a kid. I was top ranked in the state of Florida. And I got to the point where physically I was like, I just couldn't do anymore. And my tennis coach introduced me to Tony Robbins, and he gave me a pirated set of Tony Robbins CDs. I've apologized in person, by the way, and we're good. but I realized what mental wellness and health and motivation could do in your life when you really believed in yourself. And so, as an immigrant kid, we weren't destitute, but we didn't have any means. Like I could never go to a Tony Robbins seminar, and that just wasn't something that was really introduced to me. So I decided to make these films really for the young version of me, as well as my kids and my friends and their kids, so that people could see from the comfort of their own family room or their computer, wherever they are, anywhere in the world, for practically free, what is possible. So honestly, they say you write the book that you needed to read most. I also think you build the business you needed to hire most. And I would then again say you make the movies you need to watch most. And so that's why I make these.
I love it. And you've interviewed a lot of incredible humans. What are the patterns you've spotted in some of the most successful people that have had really big dreams and have made them come true?
Curiosity is the number one term that comes up with every single person that I interview that is successful. Nobody that I interview is talking about getting to the end of something. They're always talking about, even like I just finished a documentary with a guy named James Lawrence, the Iron Cowboy. He did 101 Ironman distance races in 101 days in a row. I did the math on that. That is the equivalent of swimming, biking, and running from Key West, Florida to Seattle, Washington, and back twice in a 101-day time period. And while he was doing this, and as he got to the end of it, he was just talking about what he wanted to do next. So it's always just this excitement of what's next, what more can I do? And I think there's a really interesting conversation there, because it can become a monster if you let it, but it can also become an amazing blessing. So I think the people who I work with, I'm fascinated the fact that they're never looking forward to being done. I interviewed Larry King and did his life story. And one of the questions I asked him, I said, Larry, what's next for you? And at the time he goes, Nick, I'm 83. I hope I'll wake up in the morning. But he had a goal, really. He said, but honestly, I'd really love to do a one-man show on Broadway. We tried to put it together for different reasons. It never happened, but he still had dreams. So the people who inspire me are the people who, it doesn't matter what they're doing, they're still dreaming. But again, they're not letting it become a monster in their lives.
Yeah, I love this. I have a fun question I'm going to ask everybody today. Who do you want to be a hero to?
Are you asking me that?
Yes.
Oh man. Who do I want to be a hero to? First of all, I want to be a hero to people who are the least and the lost, people who are overlooked by society because people don't know how to interact with them. They don't know they don't know what their value is. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned is everyone has a story. And one of the hardest things for us to comprehend, I think you probably know him too, Andre. One of my good friends is Andre Norman. I always say that anyone that people has me interview, it's the best of the best in the world. Even when they have me interview a convict, he's the best. He was the #2 gang member in the Massachusetts prison system. He was the best convict there was, but he reformed his life. And now he went to Harvard and he's a fellow and he negotiates racial peace treaties around the world. But what I want to do is, there's so many people that I don't understand because I was raised a certain way and I had privilege in a way, like I had love around me all the time. Like, I don't know what it's like to be raised in an abusive situation, or whether that's physically or emotionally or verbally. I don't know what it's like to be born. I mean, I was born in a third world country. My parents moved me to America when I was 1. So I'm just in sort of an exploration of what does it mean to see people where they are and try to help them help themselves. So that's sort of people I want to be a hero to. I'd be lying if I said I didn't also want to be a hero to my family and my kids and my wife. I mean, the people around me. I think when all of us get on our missions in life, I think the first people it's easiest to forget is our families, because they're just there, and so I want to make sure that I always serve them well. I think we've talked about it before. I have people always fascinated by how I do life. My wife reminded me over a decade ago that she didn't sign up to do this alone. And that's when, after we had our 3rd child. So I now do 7 nights a month on the road, and that's it. And so it makes me make good choices and better choices and pick what I want to do and balance things. There have been times, yes, of course, I've had to break the rule and we've agreed on it, but I set guardrails, because if not, I get so caught up in the mission, I forget about the firm foundation that's at home, because I stand on it every day. So I just assume it's there. And so I think just at all times, we got to remember that we need to be a hero and a provider to our family at home first, as we go out and do these cool things in the world.
And by the way, if someone, first of all, thank you, Nick. If someone, and now I'm talking to everyone watching live, if someone asked you to watch this video, or if you're watching the replay and you want access to our hero movie for free, we've just extended it for 1 more week. So you get to watch it until midnight on Friday, November 24th. And you can register here, theheromovie.com. And for those of you who are here live and you've seen it, or if you're watching this replay on YouTube, let us know in the comments and in the chat, how has this film impacted you? Now, Nick, you can stick around if you want. We're going to move on to our next surprise special guest. And I'll have him jump in. What's up, Hal?
I'm just glad I got to open for this guy. That's all I'm glad about. So thanks for having me. I will hang out and watch for a little while. You guys have a great Saturday. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all you do, Gio.
You're welcome, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to make films that change the world. You're amazing. Thanks. So our next guest is the one and only Hal Elrod. Hal, welcome. He's literally about to board a flight. He's like, no way, I'm still gonna hang out with you guys and
That's right.
Hal, welcome.
Gio, good to see you, brother.
So Hal changed my life in 2015 when I first discovered his book, The Miracle Morning. And I actually have this with me. This is the new expanded edition coming out December 12th. So I'm going to give you a plug for that. And I'm going to give an even bigger plug that he gave me the very first copy of this book. So I'm going to cherish this. Miracle Morning has sold over, I believe, 2 million copies, correct?
Yeah.
This is incredible. So for anyone who doesn't know you yet or hasn't read your book yet, what is a miracle morning?
A miracle morning is a morning ritual designed to optimize your mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical well-being every single day, so you can show up at your best for those you love and those you lead. That's it. And you can do it as little as 6 minutes, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever works for you. It's customizable.
And you have an incredible framework in the book that you call life savers. What are savers?
So the savers are the 6 practices of the miracle morning. Silence, that's your affirmations or your prayer time. Your meditation or your prayer time. So the S is for silence, the A is for affirmations, the V is for visualization, the E is for exercise, the R is for reading, and the final S is for scribing, which is journaling. And I'm going to quote Robert Kiyosaki, or paraphrase what he said. Robert does the miracle morning on a regular basis, and he said, Hal, before you wrote the book, every successful person on the planet swears by at least one of the savers. He said, maybe 2 or 3, but I've never met anyone that does all 6. And he said, I think you named the book correctly, because his experience, he said, was that he's had miracles in his life since he started doing all 6 of the savers. So that's it.
Now, how has this process saved your life literally?
Yeah, I mean, so 6 years ago, I was diagnosed with a rare aggressive form of cancer and given a 20 to 30% chance of surviving. And with a 7-year-old daughter at the time and a 4-year-old son, it was the hardest news, hardest experience I ever had. I mean, my heart was failing, my kidneys were failing, and my lungs were failing. My organs were shutting down, and the doctors gave me 1 to 3 weeks to live. If I didn't start chemo immediately, and that was the best chance, was 20 to 30% that I would survive. And I harnessed my miracle morning. I focused all 6 of those practices on beating cancer. So I meditated every day in a state of complete healing, and I prayed with unwavering faith that I would beat the cancer. I created affirmations that said, number 1, I'm committed to beating cancer no matter what. There is no other option. I'm doing that because I'm doing it for my wife. I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it for my mom and dad. I'm doing it for myself. I'm doing it for humanity. I have a responsibility to overcome this so I can help the people I love and the people I lead overcome their own challenges. And I was committed to do everything in my power, not just what the doctors told me to do, but I was going to take it in my own hands to do every holistic practice that I possibly could. And I believe the affirmations formula saved my life, because the fact that I was afraid that what if I die? But I said these affirmations with such conviction every day. No. There's no room for fear. I'm committed to beating cancer no matter what. There is no other option. And I'm doing it for these people that I love. So there is no other option for me. And after doing that miracle morning and those affirmations every single day, eventually the fear was just, there was no room for it. I replaced fear with faith. And I believe that, and then I visualized healing, of course, read books on how to beat cancer, on and on. But my miracle morning, and I think for anybody watching, if you've never done the miracle morning, if this is new for you, or even if you're a miracle morning practitioner, this is the way that I look at it. Whatever your most important goals and dreams are, you filter it through all 6 of the savers, and it accelerates how quickly you can become the person that you need to be to overcome anything you're facing or achieve anything that you want in your life. So at that time, it was beating cancer. At other times, my miracle mornings focused on, being the best dad I can be. At other times, it's focused on selling the most books that I possibly can and reaching the most people, right? So it's really about whatever you want to achieve in your life or overcome in your life that you're facing. You focus your miracle morning on that, and you get through it faster than you ever thought possible.
You showed me my, I guess, testimonial for your book that I wrote in 2015, which is so much fun. And for everyone watching, in 2016, I lost or shed 70 pounds that year, kept it all off. I was, prior to my current business, which is called Archangel, I was in the real estate space, and I was really successful and secretly hated it. That I quit real estate and jumped all into this Archangel project. All of my dreams have come true. And I was like, so much of it was because I read your book. So I want to put this on camera. So thank you for changing my life so much. And
yeah, brother.
One more wild story. What made you write the book in the first place?
So 2008, the United States economy crashed, and I crashed with it. And it was a 6-month downward spiral. I had my own coaching business. That's how I made all my money. And I started losing one client after another. And after 6 months, I had lost over half of my clients. I couldn't pay the bills. I was living on credit cards. I couldn't afford my mortgage. So I lost my house, which my first house I ever bought. I was engaged. My wife was fiance was pregnant, who's now my wife. Thank God she stayed with me. But I went through the darkest time in my life, financially, physically, mentally, emotionally. And it was a Jim Rohn quote that gave birth to the miracle morning. Jim Rohn said, "Your level of success will seldom exceed your level of personal development." And when I heard that, I quantified it in my mind. I went, well, okay, what level of success do I want on a scale of 1 to 10? And of course, the answer for all of us is I want a level 10. I would like to be as happy and healthy and financially secure as I possibly can be, right? So I want level 10. But then the second part of the question is, okay, well, if my level of success, our level of success, all of us, will not exceed our level of personal development, at least not sustainably, then the next question for me was, well, what's my level of personal development? And I went, it's at like a 2 or a 3. Like I was struggling. I was in fear mode. I was in scarcity mode. I was doing the minimum I needed to just survive. And that's when the epiphany went off. And I went, I need to go figure out what the world's most successful people do for their personal development. And I need to adopt a daily ritual that is the ultimate personal development ritual so that I can quickly become the person that I need to be to create the success that I want in every area of my life. And I was thinking 1 year, I gave myself 1 year of this morning practice, these 6 parts of this morning practice in 2 months. in the worst economy I had ever faced in my life, the Great Recession in 2008, the economy continued to tank, but I got better. And because of that morning ritual, within 2 months, I more than doubled my income. And I went and ran a 52-mile ultra marathon, had all these amazing things happen, all because of the morning ritual. And that's when I went, oh, I have a responsibility to write a book about this and share it with other people, because if it worked for me and I wasn't a morning person when I started, this could help anybody. And now I self-published the book. I never imagined it would reach 2 million people. In my wildest dreams, maybe, but not in real life.
You know, for anyone who's in our space, that is a miracle. Like self-publishing a book and selling over 2 million copies is incredible. I'm so honored to call you a friend. Last question. Who do you want to be a hero to?
Yeah, I heard you ask Nick that, and I'll tell you, it is my kids, and I'm gonna explain real quick on that. When I went through before my cancer journey, I was all about being your definition of a millionaire. In fact, my mission was change 1 million lives one morning at a time. That's how my mission with the Miracle Morning started. And it's funny, people are looking at me like, why the hell are you talking so loud, dude? So I'm moving, so I only anger pockets of people. Anyway, so but here's the deal. So I was really about quantity over quality. I wanted to change millions of lives, but I was doing it at the expense of my family. I was working weekends. I was traveling way too much. And I realized, oh, actually, if I have to choose between impacting millions of people or impacting 3 people, my wife and my 2 kids, I had a paradigm shift realizing that's more important. They are far more important. And only once their needs are met, and I've shown up as the best husband and the best father that I can possibly be, in my spare time, I'm allowed to go try to reach millions of other people. And so I think that for me was the big shift, was my family matters more than all these other strangers that I'm trying to impact, because the quality of impact I can have for my kids and my wife, nothing compares to that, and nothing matters as much.
I love it and love you. Thank you. We're going to literally jump right to our next special guest. And I think you know him. So if you want to hang out for a bit before your flight, that's cool. Thank you, everyone. Hal Elrod.
Love you, Joe.
And we'll jump right in. Our next very special guest is one of my favorite humans in the world, one of my best friends. His name is Mr. Jim Kwik. Jim, can you join us?
Hey, buddy.
So Jim is literally about to speak at an event. He's like backstage. So I'm so honored that you can hang out with us.
Thank you. I'm right. It's so good to be here. Congratulations on the new film. Yeah, I loved it so much, and it was very special. So yeah. Hi everybody. I see you in the chat.
I love that you're in our hero film.
All these people. I'm in New York. It's freezing outside. Look at all those people doing ice baths. It's so insane. It is cold, mad cold. All right, it's good to see everybody.
Okay, so for people who don't know you yet, for the 3 people, you are a celebrity brain coach. Is that what people call you these days? You're an incredible author. Your book, let me give you a shout out for this. Your book, Limitless, has sold over 1 million copies. The new expanded edition just came out 4 days ago. Please get this book. Another book that's changed my life, and another human that's changed my life. So very proud and honored to call you a friend.
Thank you.
I want to jump into, you called this book Limitless. Reminds me of the Bradley film, which was one of my favorite movies. I love that movie. And I love the idea that we can live in this way. So what misconceptions do people have, or what may be quote unquote limiting beliefs around how our brains work, or how intelligence works, or how knowledge works? I know you've mastered all this. What are those limitations that we put on ourselves?
Yeah. Thank you everybody in the chat about supporting the work. We're donating all the proceeds to children's charities to build schools and Alzheimer's research in memory of my grandmother. So I believe limits are learned. When I had my traumatic brain injury when I was 5, it's hard to describe what changed. Where I was very playful and curious and energized, I became very shut down. I had processing issues. I had sensory issues, so I had very bad balance. I wasn't really good at sports. I was always the last one that had to, be put onto a team because I was the last one chosen. I would get these horrible migraines every day when I was 5, 6, 7, and I just thought it was normal. It took me a few years to learn how to read, and that defining moment when that teacher came to my defense when I was being teased. She pointed to me from the class and said, leave that kid alone. That's the boy with a broken brain. That label became my limit, and I identified with that for all through school and every single day. And so it's interesting because I feel like a lot of the limits that we have in our life, whether it's money or impact or our health, maybe even relationships, we somehow adapted and adopted from our environment, and were imprinted on us. And if it happened, it happened. And I just want to remind people today, we have a new chance because we have a new choice. You know, I'm sure everything I could give people evidence in terms of why I was the way I was, and it's absolutely valid, and nothing changes. There's a quote in Limitless that says, life is letter C between B and D, or B stands for birth, D stands for death, life C is choice. That I really truly believe we have these choices of our mindset, our motivation, the methods that we're using. We always have choice about how to allocate resources with our head, with our heart, and with our hands. And it gives us an incredible, immense amount of power, like real life superheroes. You know, even when I was listening to Hal talk, I make acronyms just as a way for me to codify things, and I'll take things and I just thought of hero. Like, think about it, Hal and the other speakers. You know, H is habits. You need habits. He's got his morning, he's got his routine, right? Because first you create your habits, then your habits create you. And then I heard him talk about energy, because he needed to overcome some big, health challenges, and food and sleep, and be the best version of himself. So the E for me is energy. And that's what heroes do. If you think of any superhero, they have a set of habits and routines. They have an immense amount of energy to be able to save the day. The R for me could be a number of things. I would just say reasons. It's just having a superpower doesn't make you a superhero. Like Hal's talking about reasons, like his two kids, right? About the impact that he wants to have in the world. Because, just having superpowers and strength, unless you're using it for good, for some kind of purpose, like that's reasons. And without reasons, you won't get the results. And I feel like that's goes from your head to your heart to your hands, because we need purpose. And then finally, the O, I'm just listening to what potentially it could be, and it could be a lot of different things, is optimism.
Yeah.
I mean, heroes just see the better in people, in situations, because a negative mind cannot, in my experience, create a positive life. And these are choices, even if they're hard choices to make, because we've been wired a different way. Again, every single day, so many people shrink down what's possible to fit their minds, when instead we could be expanding our minds to fit all that's truly possible. So I feel like heroes come from a sense of possibility and optimism. They see the good, in their mind, and then they make it the way they see it, right? They take the invisible and they make it more visible. Wayne Dyer says it's not that you'll believe it when you see it; it's the opposite. You'll see it when you start believing in it. And and heroes believe in the best in people. And even as a coach, I believe there's genius in every single person, and I act accordingly to that. Is it absolutely true? I don't know, but I think it's a darker, dimmer world if we didn't think that. Believe in people's potential and their possibilities.
So you and I are also privileged. I'm going to put something up on screen here. We get to hang out with people who pretend to be superheroes.
Oh, wow. I love that. Oh, some of my faves.
Yeah. And so you've worked with actors who are in these big Marvel films. What's that experience like, being on set and just helping someone memorize their lines? And I know you've worked with the X-Men and all kinds of things. What's that experience?
Yeah. Well, I mean, these symbols, and superheroes are a symbol. For me, they meant a lot, because when I was growing up being bullied and had learning difficulties, I would escape in comic books. I taught myself how to read by reading comic books late at night. Something about the illustrations gave me hope, and it gave me help. It showed me that one person can make a difference through stories. And I would escape there because my reality wasn't so great. We grew up living in the back of a laundromat that my mom worked at. My parents immigrated here. They worked a lot. I wasn't very well supervised, which is why I had so many, head injuries probably. So I would escape into comic books. So being able to work with these individuals, again, they're just symbols. They're no better than anybody else. They've just, I just felt like I was like a little kid again.
Yeah.
And to be able to see those come to life. And notice also that a lot of heroes that we admire, especially superheroes, they're flawed for certain. You know, Tony Stark has a lot of flaws, and they also have challenges. Most of them, I realized years ago, I wrote about this, is a lot of them were orphaned. You think about Spider-Man was orphaned, and Superman was orphaned, and Batman was orphaned. And whoever's struggling right now, I would say I don't know one strong person that had an easy life. I just don't. You know, but my two biggest challenges were learning, and because of it, public speaking. And life has a sense of humor, because all I do is public speak on this thing called learning. My teachers would have been surprised if I read a book at this time than wrote books. And I just really remind people that adversity can be an advantage. That that you could take your mess and turn it into a message and be a source of inspiration to just one more person. And, and that if you're struggling, you impress people with your grit and your grace.
I think we love these big films because of the flaws, right? I remember when, I think if I'm getting this correct, when Superman, the character, first came out, the comics didn't sell that well. It wasn't until they really introduced Kryptonite to show that he had a flaw that people started resonating with him. And all of the X-Men, I've built my Archangel business based on the X-Men, which is already ridiculous, and it's true. When I was in high school, I told people, when I grow up, I'm going to lead a team of superheroes like Professor X, and it's true. So I think people like me and you, we get to lead by example in terms of what's possible. That, the word realistic to me is a 4-letter word when people use that word, because we hang out with people who do things that almost feel like fiction. And I'm so honored that you get to hang out with us here. I'm so honored that we're friends, and I can't wait to see you again in person soon. Watch another movie together.
Absolutely.
And please get Jim's book, because it's freaking awesome. Thank you, Jim.
Can I answer that question?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the question? Just for new people are just kind of tuned in.
My last question is who do you want to be a hero to?
I would love to be. So I turned 50 this year. We had our first child. And so obviously one of the reasons why I updated the book is because my internal world has changed, and also the world has changed, AI and post-pandemic, and I want people to be prepared. But I'm going to tell you my honest answer is. My honest answer is I want to be a hero to 2 people. And it's not my wife and child. Hopefully that happens. But it's that 9-year-old boy that was labeled broken. I think we are best suited to serve the person we once were. And that boy shouldn't have had to go through all the struggles and the self-doubt and the fear and the health issues and everything, the bullying. And so I want to make that kid proud. And then fast forward, like days of future past, I want to go to my 99-year-old self, God willing. And I want to make that guy proud. And be a hero to that person.
I'm like dying inside of joy, because someone who's about to speak with us asked me that question, and I answered it in the exact. I just said 10-year-old and 100-year-old me.
Yeah,
amazing.
I was labeled broken at 9, but so this is I feel you.
Yeah,
but much love to all of you. When I'm at your events, I'm telling you, it feels like home.
Thank you.
We're all of us the mutants, and it feels like the school that we never had, but we should have. So I think like attracts like. So I'm reading all the comments, and much love and appreciation for all of you.
Thank you, Jim. Our next superhero is, and Jim used the word strong a few times. I'm just going to have you jump right in. Her name is Dr. Gabrielle Lyon. Welcome, Gabrielle. So honored to, and let's just unmute you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, my friend.
What's hilarious is that you're at the same event Jim's at, and you're about to speak to. So I'm so grateful that you a chance to come hang out with us. I'm going to show your book super quick, Forever Strong. This just hit all kinds of bestseller lists, so congratulations on that. What is Forever Strong?
Forever Strong is really a movement. So the book is called Forever Strong, but the mission is about having a more resilient world. And that is mental and physical, and executing on the days that you don't feel like it and doing foundational things to make you better.
Love it. And when Hal Elrod was on earlier, I mentioned to him that thanks to his book, I developed all kinds of amazing habits. In 2016, I shed 70 pounds and I've kept it off. So the health has been awesome. A lot of that's because of my wife, who you know, Dr. Stephanie Estima. And she and I, you know, we set a new habit a year ago where we joined a gym. You know, during the pandemic years, we worked out at home and we had this awesome home gym, but I missed the community aspect. So we joined a gym and we've been training every single day. And I'm currently in the best or the strongest I've ever been. I'm 47 years old. And my goal is to, by 50, to be insanely kind of shredded, maybe even compete. And I know
that's incredible. That's incredible. Yes.
You are very big on, well, actually, you've defined a thing called muscle-centric medicine. Can you explain what that means?
Yeah. So right now people believe this crazy thing that we have an obesity epidemic. But what if I told you that we don't, and that we've gotten all of this stuff around health wrong? Obesity, cardiovascular disease, Alzheimer's, diabetes, that these are actually diseases of unhealthy skeletal muscle first. Yet we don't have a name for it. We have obesity medicine, we have cardiology. What I created was something called muscle-centric medicine. And the concept is that muscle is the largest organ in the body. And it's really the focal point for all health and wellness. And what's so fascinating about muscle is, number one, it's the only organ that you have direct control over. Jim was just on talking about your brain. Yes, you can think. And I mean, that's probably the second organ that you have control over. But from a physicality standpoint, you can contract your arm. You can do a push-up. And the person that you have to become in order to garner this currency, muscle as currency, is incredible. And I just think that it's such a fascinating concept.
Well, I just mentioned, you know, I'm 47 and I can now do 15 wide grip pull-ups, and I can do things with my body that I didn't think were possible. And I have a feeling a lot of people assume as we age, it's almost like there's like this thing or misconception that we're too late, you know, in our 50s or even 60s or 70s. I know, you know, that's not true. So what have you seen people do as they're progressing in age with respect to muscle? And is it too late, or can we start at any time?
It's never too late. It's never too late. And that's one of the paradigms of thinking that I think is really challenged the world, is that people believe that once they hit 40, that's it. It's all downhill, right? And nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, you can become to be in the best shape of your life decades later. I mean, there is a point where, like, my dad is 75. He can still do 100 push-ups, but maybe he's not doing 100 push-ups at the same rate that he was doing it. But there's other ways in which you can become strong, right? You can become strong in balance. You could become strong in your pistol squat. There's always ways to improve. Your question, is it ever too late? The answer to that is no. And there's data to support that, which is incredible.
I also know you're a giant fan, like I am, of protein first. So you're on this protein mission. Can you share a bit more about this?
Yeah, so this, you know, nutrition is a very hot topic. And I will say that there's many ways to do it, but there are a handful of ways that are very refined and allow you to really excel from a brain standpoint, from a physical standpoint, and dietary protein is non-negotiable. And what becomes fascinating is that this is a macronutrient that is totally demonized. Very unfortunate and unusual, but the reality is, I'm going to throw a curveball here. We don't eat for protein. We eat for these individual amino acids, and these individual amino acids do very specific things. For example, phenylalanine for dopamine, and tryptophan for serotonin, leucine for muscle. These are not interchangeable. And so by prioritizing high quality proteins like lean meats, red meats, beef, chicken, whey, eggs, you get a certain amount of these individual amino acids, and you get this food matrix. Things like choline to help with the brain, things like creatine also helps with the brain and cognitive function. And these bioactive molecules, they come from protein. And it's really, do you know that 40% of women over the age of 65, because we're talking about age, 65 are below the baseline recommendation to prevent deficiencies of dietary protein, 40%.
Yeah. And speaking of women, I have a feeling there's also a misconception that they shouldn't be lifting or weight training because they might get bulky or something. What's your response to something like that?
So I'm a little confused on that. And I think there's two things there. Number one, you're 100% right. That is the number one complaint, problem, thing that a woman is worried about. And then number two, have you seen Dr. Stephanie? How beautiful is she? Like, she doesn't look bulky. You show me a woman who's bulky. So that leads me to the second part of this thought is that potentially a distraction? You know, when you talk about being a hero and a hero of your own life, you have to question the way in which you process information. And one of the things that we do as humans is that we reiterate things over and over again. And we ultimately believe that these things are true, not because there is truth to them, but because there is repetition to them. And so women talk about, well, I'm afraid I'm going to get bulky. Well, have you ever seen that? And is that just something that you are repeating and allowing it to become a distraction? Because if you say that, it's an easy way out.
Yeah, my wife, so you mentioned Stephanie, she's curling 30-pound dumbbells with me, and she's doing 500-pound hip thrusts. Like, and she is the sexiest woman I've ever seen. So check her out if you're watching this video.
I would agree with you. I would agree with you.
My last question: who do you want to be a hero to?
Myself. You show up for yourself, then you show up for everybody else.
Amazing.
And you know what? I want my kids. I want them to be the hero of their own life.
That is brilliant. Thank you, Gabrielle, for hanging out with us. Have an amazing and see you soon.
Thanks, my friend.
And speaking of our friends, our mutual friend is next. His name is the one and only Brian Johnson. Welcome, Brian.
Gio, good to see you, brother.
You too. We were, I was actually at your house a few weeks ago in Austin, and your son kicked my ass in chess. He's 11, correct?
Dude, he's 11. He's over here playing right now. We're at a tournament, dude. I fell asleep holding his hand last night, in a little hotel bed. It's just the sweetest thing ever. But yeah, he's 11 now.
I love it. And your book just came out a few days ago. It's called Areté. You're wearing this shirt. I'm holding up the book. This book is like literally a manual for life. It's so damn good. I please, if you're watching this replay or if you're with us, get this book. It will literally change your life. It changed mine already. And I was blessed. You sent me a copy a few months ago. So I feel honored. Thank you for that. And for people who may not know you, how do you describe Brian Johnson? This is I'm curious how you would introduce yourself.
That's a good question. The kind of polished, back cover book bio is accurate, actually. I'm a proud father of 2 kids. And I'll answer your question right now. They're the 2 human beings I want to be a hero for the most. Emerson and Eleanor, named after 2 of our favorite American heroes, Ralph Waldo Emerson and Eleanor Roosevelt. Married to my best friend, Alexandra. I'm passionate about integrating my 2 heroes. Kind of the guys I look to the most are Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius. So my favorite teacher and my favorite leader. And I aspire to be my idiosyncratic blend of those 2 men. So I want to be an intense, unapologetically intense teacher, hopefully with some, logical coherence to what I share. And Epictetus just taught with a hammer, And then Aurelius, the kind of reluctant leader, emperor, philosopher. I really admire him, And so I see myself as aspirationally a blend of those 2 guys, CEO of Heroic Public Benefit Corporation, practically speaking, and then the author of Areté. But that's kind of a quick snapshot.
I love that you mentioned teacher and leader. I think I told you this, but in case I didn't, I'm a word nerd. I love language and etymology. And the word archangel, the name of our company, comes from ancient Greek. Archos means leader, and angelos, the word for angel, means messenger or teacher. So I love that. Yeah, always.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned, let's talk about the book. What does Areté mean?
So Areté is the one-word answer the ancient Stoics would have given you, Epictetus and Aurelius, if you asked them how to live a good life. So the word translates into English as virtue or excellence, but it means something closer to being your best self, moment to moment to moment. And as you know, I like to say, if you're capable of being this and you're actually being that, and there's a gap between who you could have been and who you actually were, it's in that gap in which regret, anxiety, disillusionment, depression exists. When you close the gap, you're living with Areté. You experience a deep sense of joy and meaning and purpose. And again, not only am I wearing the t-shirt that I named the book, I tattooed my body with it. And then importantly, the moment you live with Areté, you are heroic. You don't need to wait. You don't need to go check everything off your bucket list and all the things you think you need to do. No. The moment you close the gap, in my mind, and you show up as your best self, you are heroic.
One of the topics you cover in the book is anti-fragile confidence. Can you explain what you mean by that?
My absolute favorite idea in the book. It's a cornerstone of our work with our coaches that we train. Anti-fragile confidence. There's three actual words in the second objective: forge anti-fragile confidence. So the subtitle to the book is Activate Your Heroic Potential. So activation energy is a scientific term. It's when one thing becomes another thing. So if you want to boil water, you got to get to 212 degrees, activation energy point. You want to start a fire, you have to get to 451 degrees, boom, a fire is ignited. But then you need to go further. 2200 degrees is what it takes to forge a sword. So I'm all in, let's be intense and show up like we mean it, be the heroes of our own lives. Now, anti-fragility is the opposite of being fragile. Nassim Taleb coined the word. We all know about resilience, which is I can handle more stress, then I kind of break down, then I bounce back quickly. But what if when life hits you hard, you literally got stronger? Then you wouldn't be fragile or resilient. You'd be anti-fragile. But then you combine that with confidence. And again, we're goosebumps on goosebumps etymological nerds, So the word confidence comes from two little Latin words, confidere, intense trust. If you want to have intense trust in any relationship, you have to do what you say you will do. If you want to have intense trust in yourself, you have to do what you say you will do. You'll never be perfect, but you got to get more and more consistent in doing the things you say you will do, whether that's your meditation, your movement, your nutrition, your sleep, your time with your kids without your phone. So forging anti-fragile confidence is the cornerstone of the book and my work. But here's the most important part of it. My coach, Phil Stutz, in the great Netflix documentary Stutz with Jonah Hill, he calls it emotional stamina. And in one of our early conversations, he told me I had a lot of it, maybe more than he'd ever seen. To which I said, amazing. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. No idea what that is, but that's awesome. Next session, I say, what is emotional stamina? He says it's your ability to tolerate uncertainty, pain, hard work, etc. And then, of course, I followed up with, all right, how do I get more of it? And his answer to my question is tattooed on my brain. He said, if you want more emotional stamina, then the worse you feel, the more committed you need to be to your protocol. So the more life is knocking you around, the more you feel a little wobbly, the more committed you need to be to working your protocol, being your best self, showing up, doing the things you know you do when you're on. That's now a long answer, but that's how we forge anti-fragile confidence. Getting even 3, 5, 10% better at this is life-changing.
That is amazing. One more quick topic from the book I want to cover because it's my favorite topic. It's unleashing superpowers. So the theme of today's experience is unleash your inner hero. What do you mean by unleash superpowers?
Yeah, so this is the 7th objective in the book, and we sequentially walk through an integration of ancient wisdom and modern science. Very briefly, you got to know the ultimate game. You got to forge anti-fragile confidence. You want to focus on optimizing your energy, work, and love. Then you make today a masterpiece. Then you integrate the art and science of behavioral change. You dominate what I call the fundamentals: eating, moving, sleeping. And when you do that and you live in integrity with your highest ideals, you activate your superpower. We call it soul force. So Gandhi named it. Martin Luther King talked about it in his I Have a Dream speech. The ancient Chinese philosophers, this was the entire point of their philosophy. When one is living in integrity with their highest values, they have a moral charisma. They have there's a felt sense of integrity in them that neuroscientists tell us you can feel. You're not aware of it consciously, but you're magnetized to those people, which is why Gandhi cultivated it in himself. Martin Luther King cultivated it himself. Those guys tried to cultivate it in their followers. And it's what I'm all about personally, bringing forth in our kids, bringing forth in our coaches and our community. And I believe that each of us have that latent within ourselves. And it's the one quality all of our heroes have, is that again, ineffable sense of moral charisma. And activating that in literally me and you, in everyone here today, is how I think we can fundamentally and permanently change the world.
Now, before we go, you have a tremendous gift for everyone who's registered to watch our hero film, and it's your app. Can you share what the app is and what the gift is?
Yeah, so Heroic is a social training platform. My background is in social technology. I built and sold 2 social platforms before Facebook. We intend to create an answer to the social dilemma, an alternative to Facebook. We also have training tools to help people move from theory to practice to mastery together. And you can find out more about that at heroic.us, and in the iOS and Android app stores, Heroic. But I want to hear you describe the gift.
Well, it is like the app version of your book. It's a so let's talk about apps for a second. How many of you go on your phone multiple times a day to a social media app or getting news, and how do you feel after that? It's often a negative charge or tension or something that doesn't feel good. To me, you've solved this equation. You've created the app that people can go to multiple times a day to actually uplift, to get positive, to stick with your habits, to achieve your goals, to make your dreams a reality, to become the highest version of yourself. And it's freaking amazing. And you're gifting this to everyone registered, which I'm so appreciative.
I'm honored, dude. We within minutes, moments of connecting with you, just felt so much deep resonance and admiration for you. And I feel like it's goosebumps again. Our joke to one another, everybody. Gio and I, goosebumps on goosebumps. Let's go. But dude, it's day one. I'm so excited to bring you in as one of our formative guides in 2024, and to create a community of people committed to being their best, most heroic version of themselves in service to something bigger than themselves. And it's an honor to be here with you, man. Can't wait to see you again in person soon.
I will see you very soon. Thank you, Brian. Everybody, Brian Johnson.
All right. See you, brother.
Our next very special guest is someone I am a huge fan of, and I've been for a while. I first encountered her when, I don't actually watch a lot of TV, but I have this weird special relationship with talent shows on television, and she was my favorite audition ever. Made me cry, and then she said yes to being in our hero film. So everyone, please welcome Mandy Harvey to join us. Hi, Mandy.
Hi, everybody. It's so lovely to be here.
We've asked you a million questions, and you're in our movie, and the feedback has been phenomenal. And a lot of people who've watched the film are here with us right now live or watching this replay. I want this to be a bit more interactive. So I'm going to share, if you're with us live and you have a question for Mandy, type your question in the chat and we'll see how many we can get through as quickly as possible. I'm curious. So from me, what was the feeling like walking onto the stage? So let's go back to the first America's Got Talent.
Yeah. Well, being on those kinds of shows was never an aspiration that I had. I think that people who aspire to be stars on television shows, as far as like judgment shows, has something a little wrong with them. But my goal was very focused on encouraging other people, showing a different side of what a disability looked like, and to be a living example of someone who has failed. And so when I was walking onto that stage, I was very nervous. I was very scared. They had just tested all the red X's. So I was like, okay, that's a good sign. And then they attempted to do the golden buzzer. It was the first day of filming for the season, and it was broken. And Simon stood up. He's like, it doesn't matter if that button doesn't work. It's the first day of filming. I'm not going to hit it. I was like, okay. And so I was just kind of repeating to myself over and over again, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? Because I was truly just trying to focus on one person. Even if I get X'd off the show, what's the worst that could happen? And then in a split second, right before they shoved me out, walking on the stage, I thought, it's really negative. What's the best that could happen? The best that could happen is I can connect with one person. Amazing. Maybe there's even better, but even if it's just that, that's an amazing thing to do. And so then the rest of it just kind of melted away.
How do you feel your life changed after that moment?
Well, I mean, it became very much focused and more purposeful. I know a lot of people get excited because, that video I think has been seen now over 600 million times.
Wow.
And Lady Gaga was like tweeting about it and stuff. It was so weird. But the parts that I actually appreciate were the live captions that they added for the first time in the green rooms. The video right before Release Me is the longest period of silence on national television history. And it's not negative, it's not pitiful. There were programs that started around the world for people with a desire to learn a sign language in their respected languages. And people started banding together. So it gave me more of an opportunity to be able to focus on encouraging people and being my authentic self as much as possible with no shame and no fear, and allow that to just encourage others. And every time I fall and I stumble or something is difficult, people are like, yeah, and I get back up and they get up with me. And I think that it helps everybody to understand that we all fall, we all fail, and we all have the ability to cheer each other on and lift each other up. And we kind of elevate together.
Wow. Beautiful. How do you feel that you've evolved since then?
I definitely became less scared. I still, like anytime you're on a television show, you have to deal with being kind of, this is a bad word, but kind of bullied around because they have a very specific goal. You're one of many, many, many people. And then so you have to kind of learn to defend yourself, stand up for yourself, be a little bit more assertive. And I didn't do the best job while I was on that show. But after that show, I was so frustrated with everything. I was like, I'm just going to start being a lot more upfront about the way that I think things could get better, And it's really lent me in the most positive of ways of saying, you know what, it's okay to be quiet. It's okay to be shy. It's okay to be passive, but it's not okay to have people run over you all the time. And there's a difference between being respectful and being a doormat. And I'm going to make sure that they don't confuse the two again.
Wow. Huge. What has been one of the most inspirational pieces of feedback you've received from someone who's been touched by your work and who's been impacted by you?
I get emails and letters and stuff still almost on a daily basis. And some of the best moments that I've had have been visiting schools. It's one of my big passions. If I do a concert, I normally do outreaches where I go to local schools and talk to kids from like pre-K all the way through high school, sometimes colleges. And it's just magical. And then after shows, you get the people who come up after, and they just want to hug and they just hold on to you and cry. And they're just releasing, their burden out into the world. And then they find themselves kind of sometimes embarrassed, but looking around and all these other people are crying with them. And then they don't feel alone anymore. And it's just kind of being able to open the door for these kind of compassionate moments. I have a $2 bill that is inside my ukulele case when I travel that says a person's name on the front, and on the back it just says, "Thanks for helping save my life." And these are those kinds of things. I didn't do anything other than just try to inject positivity into the world. And when you think about what's the best that can happen, what's the best that can happen by documentaries like this? What's the best that can happen by a displaying triumph over struggles, not saying that we can't break, but saying that in our brokenness we can get back up and we can forge forward. What you're doing is you're showing other people that it's okay to be broken too. It's okay to be weird, and it allows healing to happen.
Beautiful. I'm known as the dreaming really big guy, so I'm actually curious. I don't think I've asked you this yet. What's Mandy's dream now? So if we took a time machine to 10 years from now and everything goes your way, what would that
Oh my
look?
gosh. Well, there's a lot of things that I want to do. One of the things that I'm working on right now is I've created a world, and I want to create a children's television series, cartoon, or a book series, but it's connected with this whole community aspect, and it's educational, and it involves people getting involved with their own communities and lifting each other up. I also have a program that I want to start that's a digital platform for kids and students who are in the cancer wards to be able to have a creative outlet, because they're not necessarily allowed to leave. And the percentages of kids that are inside of that who struggle deeply with mental health and depression are astronomical, because imagine, but to be able to actually find a way to express how you feel musically and get connected with artists that you admire and not feel like you're stuck there alone, I think it could be really powerful. But I don't know, I want to do a lot of what I'm doing right now, just more of it.
I love
More
it.
albums, more touring, more people, hugs,
Last
more.
question before we bring on our next surprise guest. And I've been asking everyone this: who do you want to be a hero to now?
um, I think sometimes the person that I struggle being a hero for the most is myself. I bleed for people. I'm happy to give you everything and have nothing left. But sometimes the person I have the least amount of patience for is myself. And I think as a mom, as a wife, I need to understand that I need to have more patience with myself. I'm all good for like, get up, Sally, get off the floor, keep going. Like I have to buck myself up a lot. But I think we tend to, especially people who are very compassionate towards others, I think we tend to give more than we focus on healing ourselves, because it's easier. And it's not always the most conducive to love others with. So it's like you have to feed your soul, and you have to take the time to investigate what you need so that you can be your best self, so that what you're giving is the best.
I love it. And let's bring on our surprise guest, who the last time the three of us were together was at the Hero premiere in Beverly Hills. So if he can come on camera for a second. Here he
Hey,
comes.
what's up, Mandy? How you doing?
Everyone,
Hey,
please welcome Remi Adeleke, who's also
How's it
in
going?
our Hero film. Surprise, everybody. Remi, nice to see you, sir.
Yeah, good to see you, Mandy.
oh my gosh, look at you. What are you up
No,
to?
I got a lot more grades since we last together.
So do I, but I have a very excellent hairstylist.
There you go. Send me his or her number. Yeah.
Mandy, thank you
How you
so
doing?
much.
How's the little one?
And Remi, I am so grateful to see you too. Mandy, you can hang out if you want to. Remi, so actually for both of you, the amount of I've received hundreds and hundreds of emails from people who are actually with us live right now and who are probably going to watch this replay too. So I'll ask everyone in the replay to share your comments of the way this film Hero has impacted people already. And it's just been, we've had this world online premiere where people can watch it for free for just a few days. And especially from both of your stories of triumph and failure and all the things. So we've asked a lot of questions in the film. Remi, I'm curious. the experience of going through the SEALs training first, what was that like after almost dying? Like, how did, what, bring me back to that place
The redo.
yeah.
It was like, let's get back to work. It wasn't, there was really no emotion. I think there was emotion. The only emotion was I have to redeem myself. I have to make it through. It's kind of like that Terminator mindset. I almost died. Okay, so what? Life goes on. I'm still living, so I gotta complete the job. So that was the only thing going through my mind. I wasn't concerned. I wasn't worried. I knew that I had the mental fortitude to keep pushing through. I just had to get my body to cooperate with me, and I was very young at the time. I want to say 21. So being a medic, even before I went to SEAL training, I knew that I would be able to recover and I'd be able to continue pushing forward.
Wow. Now, one thing I haven't told you yet, and we've been friends for a bit, and I'm so actually let me share a fun story with all of you here. I was in San Diego filming with Dominic Cruz, who's also in the film.
Oh, yeah.
I sent you a text. I'm like, hey, Remi, and this is like in end of January, early February. I'm like, hey, I'm in town. He's like, hey, come over. We'll watch the game. So I'm thinking Remi's having this giant party at his house with all these cool people. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so honored to. And I show up and it was us, just me, you, and your kids. And it was like the most special day ever. And your kids are amazing.
Thank you.
And your wife is amazing. And we had dinner and it was so cool. But the one thing I haven't told you yet is that when I was a kid, I was the biggest Transformers fan.
Oh, yeah.
Now, for those of you who don't know, Remi, part of Remi's story is shifting from Navy SEALs to, I guess, Hollywood with one of the Transformers movies. How did that happen?
Yeah, I was in grad school getting my math. I got out in January of 2016. And then I was getting my master's because I was going to go into business consulting. My brother-in-law is a Toronto chapter YPO, so he's part of the YPO Toronto chapter. And so he was getting me numerous consulting jobs with other YPOers and his guys in his forum as well. So I didn't want to be the SEAL that goes to these corporations and just talks from a SEAL perspective. I wanted to have some of the theories as it relates to business and those concepts so that I can merge the two. And then I also wanted to have the experience of being a business owner as well. So I'm not just speaking from the perspective of a special operations participant, so to speak. And so I was getting my master's in organizational strategy. It was a business degree. I had the option to go get my MBA, and there's so many people with MBAs, so I decided to go with the business organizational strategy master. So I was in grad school, and fast forward to May of 2016, I was writing papers in my office, the office I'm in right now, and a woman reached out to me and said, Michael Bay is looking for a former Navy SEAL with your background to work on Transformers tomorrow up in LA. Are you interested? And I was like, long story short, I was like, sure, why not? I'm just writing papers for school. I'll knock out these papers and then head up to LA tomorrow. And so she asked me to send her a picture, and I sent her a picture. And then she called me back about 2 hours later and said, Bay wants to cast you for the one day. And so I went up to LA the next day, and we were out in the middle of the desert. It was like LA, but way East LA. It's like where they shot, I think they've shot a lot of desert scenes from movies out this way. And that one day turned into 3 weeks, and then 3 weeks turned into 6 months. And that's kind of how it all started.
I love that. Now you've been
I like how you said that though, because you're just like, oh yeah, then I got this thing from him. So it's like, oh yeah, then I'm gonna go to LA. No, you didn't. You almost peed your pants. You were like, Michael Bay. Oh my gosh. Yes, I can finish these papers. Absolutely. Papers.
Well, I wish that was the case. It was, like now, before Hollywood was kind of foreign to me. You know what I mean? It was like a foreign thing to me, and it was totally outside of what I wanted to do, which is a weird thing. So, I wish that was the case. I was exactly, but
You're like,
I think
fine, I guess I can try out for this.
but
See what happens.
to your point, I think it was good that I wasn't as
Too
read in,
excited.
because I think I would have got on set and just, I don't know, like not been proper, right? I'd have been like, oh, there's Josh Duhamel, oh, there's Michael Bay, oh, there's this, and not focused. So when I got to set, it was just like, I wasn't, there were no stakes for me, right? There were no
Yeah.
stakes. It's like, I'm just going to do my job.
So what was it like then day 2 when they asked you to come back?
That was actually,
that more exciting?
that was 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
I would say a little bit, because it wasn't in LA. This time it was a week in Arizona and then a week in Michigan. So they flew me out to Arizona and then flew me from Arizona to Michigan. So I think that for me, that's when it became like, all right, this has become real. This is more than just a day job. So it was exciting from that perspective for sure.
I just had another memory too. When I was in San Diego filming Dominic, so for those of you here, I've had this habit for the past 15 years where every weekend by myself, I'll go watch a matinee film in a cinema. It's my escape. It's my creative process. And I always do this. And because I was in San Diego on a weekend, I was like, let me just see what came out this week. And there was this film called Plane with you and Gerard Butler. And that was awesome. So you've done a bunch of film projects as an actor, but now what's the focus now with everything you're working on?
Yeah, now is writing, directing. I have a short film that I did that's on YouTube now. People can go watch it for free. It's called The Unexpected. It's based on true events around organ harvesting. Long story short, I was working with various nonprofits in the human trafficking space, even like around the same time I was getting my master's. And I just saw a need for the message to be shared via media, via film and TV, because I didn't understand how prevalent human trafficking was, especially the organ harvesting side of human trafficking, until I got involved. As a matter of fact, I remember when I first got approached to volunteer with a human trafficking nonprofit, I was like, what's human trafficking? Like, what is that? And then the more I got deeper into it, and the more I realized this is a freaking evil atrocity, like to take kids and sell them for sex, to take human beings and sell them for organs, sell their organs and use people as modern day slaves. Like it was just horrible. And so, being in film and TV, that's when I decided I want to kind of change my trajectory from just consulting and acting on films and TV shows, and be a writer, be a creative, use my talents and what I've learned to create and tell stories that can have an impact. And so I made The Unexpected. That was the first film I directed, which is on YouTube now. And then that got picked up to be a feature film. So that's kind of what I'm working on now. We talked about earlier this week. I'm trying to raise financing for that. But it's that's what Remi does now. He's a filmmaker.
Love it. And can you share what's happening in Michigan, where we actually shot your interview for the film?
Yeah. So in Michigan, I have a charter school that I co-founded out there. As a matter of fact, I'm flying out there in the first week in December. The kids are doing really good, by the way. I started the charter school because I grew up and you guys know my story. I grew up in the Bronx, and the education system was really, really bad. And so Muskegon, Michigan is a very depressed area. It's an inner city. Like most of the kids in our classroom, in our school, when they signed up and they had to present their birth certificate, like 90% of them didn't have a father's name on a birth certificate.
Wow.
Right. So this is a community where there's a lot of absentee fathers. And so that has translated into crime and poverty and other issues. And so we decided, me and my business partner decided to start a charter school out there. So that's where we filmed, and it's thriving. And it's been a lot of growing pains. and having to have a lot of patience because a lot of these kids they never had the love and they never had the guidance even in the school system to take them to the promised land, so to speak, to show them that they can be somebody and be great. So yeah, that's what we're doing.
I love it. And last question for you, same question for everyone. Who do you want to be a hero to?
Who do I want to be a hero to? That's a great question. I would say the easy answer is to everybody. I truly believe. I think in 2008, I had a really hard rock bottom moment, which was necessary to me because I had a lot of pride. I had a lot of issues, and that was the first time that I realized that life is not about me anymore. Because prior to that, life was all about me, and my needs, and just me. And then that's when I finally realized that life isn't about me. Life is about people. And life is about utilizing my story, my platform, my experiences to help other people, and to guide other people, to inspire other people, and to give people a glimpse of their potential. Because so many of us, we minimize our potential. I do it at times where I minimize my potential. I have an apparel company called Kejo. I should have gave you some shirts, when you came out here, but one of our shirts that we came up with is unlimited potential. And on the back of the shirt is a MRI scan of a brain. And the brain matter is made up of the words unlimited potential, right? So the goal with that is to show people that we all have unlimited potential. So that's what I want to do. I want to be a hero to people by showing them that all of us, Mandy, Dominic, we all have unlimited potential. We all have the ability to rise above our station. We all have the ability to rise up and be an inspiration to other people, right? Through our stories, through our journeys. And I truly believe, I was talking about this on a podcast the other day, I truly believe that the world is in such shambles, and it's been in shambles since, almost the beginning of time, in part because people are not walking in their potential. And I think so many people are worried about what other people have and how other people have more than them. And that creates conflict and jealousy and hate and all of this stuff. But if we all exercise our unlimited potential and walk in our purpose, every single person, without worrying about what we don't have or do have, then the world would be a freaking better place. The world would be fixed. I truly believe that all of us were born into this world with specific gifts and a specific purpose. And we were all designed for a specific purpose. And that's what makes us all unique. And that's proven in our fingerprints. No two people have ever shared the same fingerprint. I'm not talking about who's living right now. I'm talking about who has ever lived and who will ever live. No one will ever share the same identical fingerprint, which means that our goal in life, our purpose in life, is to leave our fingerprint, our mark on this world. And if we all left our fingerprint, our mark on this world on a daily basis, then we would not be where we are. Wars, violence, and all that stuff. So that's it. That's, sorry for the long answer, but that's
a brilliant answer. I thank you both for hanging out with us today. Thank you for being in our film. Thank you for inspiring everyone who's already seen it and the future millions of people who are going to see it. I love both of you. I am grateful for both of your friendship, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Good seeing you, Mandy. Mandy, much love.
Seeing you too. And if you ever need an extra in one of your kick butt movies,
I got you.
It's right here.
I got you. Absolutely. And Gio, absolutely. And I'm gotta find some, throw Gio in there too. We're gonna join.
Yes, please.
As a mad scientist or something like that. The mad scientist brings everything together.
Yes,
I love it.
Please.
Yeah.
All right, bye guys.
All right, guys. And hey, thank you for everybody that tuned in and watched. Thank you for watching the film, and thank you for supporting the film, and much love to you all. Hope you all were inspired.
Thank you. Now, everyone, before we have a few minutes left, I'm going to share my framework for goal setting and achieving giant goals. And I actually haven't shared this until yesterday for the first time, so I'm super excited to share it with you. Before that, I actually want to share what my next giant 3 goals are. Hopefully, to inspire you. So, 10 years ago, when I launched my Archangel business, I set really big goals. All of them came true, and then even bigger things came true. And a few months ago, I thought I need to do this again. I need to set what I call giant moonshots, which are, shooting for the moon kind of goals. And the first one is in the year 2028, we're going to do an arena tour where we're going to have 1 million people attend our incredible events in a 12-month period. The second one, which is kind of nuts, is that I want to produce a film that wins both an Academy Award and a Nobel Peace Prize at the same time. And the third one is I want to help 1,000 people become millionaires. And you've all heard my definition. A millionaire is someone who impacts 1 million people. And those are the 3, I guess, next moonshots for us with Archangel and our the work we're doing and all the films we're doing. And speaking of that, I actually want to give you all an exclusive and announce what our next film project is going to be. So Dreamer was amazing. And if you haven't seen it, you can watch it on YouTube. It's free now. Just find me on YouTube and watch Dreamer. Hero is our next one that will launch officially next year in 2024. Our next film project is actually going to be called Millionaire. So we're going to make a film called Millionaire, and so that we literally redefine that word to mean someone who impacts 1 million people. And we want to impact millions of people with a film called Millionaire. We're going to start production in the new year, and then we're going to premiere the film September 20th next year at our big Archangel Summit event that happens in Toronto. And it's right after the Toronto Film Festival, like on the last day. So it's a cool time to be in Toronto for those of you who know. And before we go, last thing, let me share how I set these giant dreams and how I make them happen. And it's a process I call Odyssey and Destiny. So the way I approach this, because all of these things that have happened in my life have felt like fiction. I set these really big dreams and they all seem to happen. And I wanted to actually reverse engineer, what do I do and how can I teach this to people? So the framework is to start off by setting a typical goal with a metric, like people call them SMART goals. If you've ever heard this acronym, I think it's specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, in a timely fashion kind of thing. So imagine your goal is I'll use a simple health one, to shed 20 pounds. Now, I bet all of you at some point have set some kind of goal like this where it didn't happen. To say, I want to make this much money, or I want to lose this much weight, or I want to have this specific thing happen by this specific date, and then it doesn't happen. And how do you feel when you don't hit the goal in whatever the time frame was? It's not a good feeling. And then you might even think about yourself in a negative way. I'm a loser. I don't get this stuff done. Why do I self-sabotage? And I want to show you how to overcome and override that kind of thinking, right? So step 1 is to actually set those kinds of goals, whatever it is. So we'll use weight loss as an example, losing 20 pounds. Now, what I want you to do is go 5 to 10 years into the future and imagine that over those 5 to 10 years, every single goal you hit comes true, and you can keep dreaming bigger every year. And if that's the case, where would you end up in 10 years? What would you be doing? What would life look like? I actually want you to visualize life in 10 years and what your goals would be then, assuming every single goal you set happens. And I call those your destiny goals. Kind of how I just did them with the 1 million tickets and the Academy Award. And by the way, I have no idea how to win an Academy Award. I have no idea how to win a Nobel Peace Prize. The how doesn't matter at this point. It's about having the intention and the direction, and having these destiny goals as a North Star, pointing your compass and your GPS and figuring out where you want to be. And after that, there's this one belief I want you to all share with me, one belief. So if you can understand that where you will end up in the future is based on choices you make in the present, and you have a lot of options of these choices, so that technically there's infinite versions of your future. but there is one future version of you that has achieved every single goal and dream. So if you can have that one belief that there's this one version of you in the future that has achieved your goals, I want you to just believe that one thing. And I actually want you to name that person, let's call them your future self, something different than your name. It could be a derivation of your name. It could be a superhero alter ego. It could be whatever you want. Just name them something different than you. For me, I call them Johnny Angel. I love the name Johnny Angel. So my future self is Johnny Angel. And so bear with me on that one. The next thing I want you to do is take whatever your original goal was. Let's say it was the 20 pounds lost or whatever it is, and make that a byproduct of what I'm going to call your Odyssey goals. Now, your Odyssey, or the word Odyssey, means path or long journey, right? So you have the destiny goals and the destination where you're headed. But the thing that most of us don't think about is the day-to-day, the Odyssey, the journey. And I want you to think about making decisions every day as if you're asking your future self for advice as your guide. So our hero movie I know most of you've watched it, our hero film is about the hero's journey. And I believe we are all the hero of our own journey. And I believe our future self is your guide. And, someone in the chat mentioned my good friend Ben Hardy's books. Ben Hardy is amazing. Be Your Future Self Now. Personality Isn't Permanent. They're incredible. And it's based on the same science that who you are isn't fixed. Not only can you change your personality, you can, and not only are you the hero of your story, but you're also the script writer and the director and the producer and the narrator, set designer. I've proven this in my own life, and I want you to understand that this is capable for you too. And what I do on a daily basis is I ask my future self 2 questions, and you want to write these down. What would they do? So let's say you have a choice to make. Should I eat this donut? I'll say, what would Johnny Angel do? I wouldn't ask what I would do. I would ask what my future self would do. Because every time I do this, the right answer appears. And then the second question I always ask is, what can I do to make my future self proud? And if you start every day with these questions, and if you have them in your mind whenever you need to make a decision, you will end up becoming your future self. I started doing this in 2011. And what I realized earlier this year is that I am my future self. I am the person that 2011 version of me used to ask for guidance. It's mind-blowing. And now I'm doing it again. And all of you can do this too. So destiny goals, Odyssey goals, speak to your future self for guidance. They are the guide of your story. Every hero's journey story has the main characters, the heroes. If you think of Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, there's Luke Skywalker and Frodo. And then every one of these heroes' journey story has a guide, the Obi-Wan Kenobis and the Gandalfs and the Glinda the Good Witch and Wizard of Oz. Your future self is your guide. They will give you direction. They will give you clarity. And that is how I set these giant goals, and that's how I achieve them. And I hope this was useful for all of you. On behalf of everyone involved in this hero project, I am so grateful that you spent the past 90 minutes with us in this event. We're going to do more of these events. So a lot more in store. And last thing I want to leave you with, a giant cliffhanger. For those of you registered, let me just share this again. If you haven't seen the film, you have one more week as of today, theheromovie.com. Register. It's free. You can watch the movie we've been talking about all day today. And tomorrow, I'm going to be sharing how you can get involved in our Millionaire Project, in our next film. So if the idea of making this dream a reality is exciting for you, if you want to be involved in a film project, if you want to be part of the journey with us, I'm going to take you on this journey with us. So look for an email tomorrow evening from me. And thank you on behalf of all of us. Love all of you. Thank you for supporting this film. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you, everybody.